Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome to a Star Wars Battlefront 2 video, where today we are going to be talking about my experience playing Battlefront 2 for the first time last week while visiting EA Play in Hollywood, California. During this trip, I got about 3 to 4 hours of gameplay of Battlefront 2, and I got to play a ton on the Separatist side, and I also got a couple battles playing on the Republic's end of the game, so I have a decent idea of how this game is going to work. Do keep in mind, this is a pre-alpha build, so a lot of things could change, but so far we have a decent idea of how the game is going to operate come later on this year. I'm a veteran Star Wars Battlefront player. I've been playing ever since the 2004 Star Wars Battlefront, even played the little guys that not too many people notice, such as Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron, and after playing Star Wars Battlefront back in 2015, which was EA's first take at the Battlefront series, that game just left so much to be desired, especially after all of us who have played the previous games, and many people throughout the community were pretty upset of how the Star Wars Battlefront first came out from Electronic Arts. Although the graphics were phenomenal in that game, there was just so much left out. There really wasn't any sort of progression system that was really worth grinding for, with the exception of the Jabba the Hutt contracts. It just felt like a really stripped down version of the Battlefield series, and the big thing that really irritated people was the fact that they completely eliminated the class system, and the game felt a little too arcade-like. You just jump in, run around, shoot enemies, and that was really it. And the other major problem with the previous game is if you wanted to use a hero, or let's say some sort of vehicle, you would have to run around aimlessly on the map to find those tokens, and by the time you found those tokens, you would have to call it in very fast, because if you were killed while using that token, you would lose the token and you would lose your opportunity therefore to use a vehicle or use a hero. Then of course there were the space battles that were nowhere near in comparison to the old games, and that really drove players away from the game. So overall, a lot of stuff was missing, but after playing the Star Wars Battlefront 2 demo, it does appear they learned from their mistakes and the game is looking very promising, and it's all because of player feedback after playing the 2015 Battlefront. So let's get into it and talk about some of the major changes that I've noticed from playing this game. The first thing that really stuck out for me and for many people is the fact that this game is going to be crossing many eras from the Star Wars universe. The demo only allowed us to play as the Separatist droids or the Republic, but it was a great way for Electronic Arts to showcase the game for the very first time to the public, because that is something we have been missing from the gaming industry as a whole. I might be wrong about this, but it's been about a good 12 years since we had a game that focused on the Clone Wars era, where you could play as Separatist droids or perhaps clone troopers. So bringing the Clone Wars to life with the modern day graphics that we have is something that is really going to hit home for many people, and we even have the familiar voices we heard from the old Battlefront games. When you're playing the clone troopers, you will hear that familiar voice, which brings back many nostalgic memories from the past. Unfortunately, I did not hear many classic lines from the old games, such as "watch those wrist rockets," but hey, there's hope they might bring that later on this year. But even if they don't, it's just great to see the Clone Wars come to life, or even the First Order versus Resistance come to life, because the galactic civil war between the Empire and the Rebellion seems to have been overplayed ever since the last Battlefront that came out back in 2005. Now, getting on to more gameplay stuff, they brought the class system back that we are kind of familiar with the previous games. They added their own touches, but now they finally categorize individual troopers that we have. You have the Assault class, we have the Specialist class, we have the Officer class, and we have the Heavy class. And for me personally, this is a great improvement, because now everyone has a job, and it kind of gets you to experiment with different classes. The Officer, for example, kind of rally his troops to get ready for the battle by granting them bonus health. If you're one that likes to play from more of a distance and provide support from way back in the battlefield, then the Specialist might be your opportunity to do so, because the sniping class is actually very viable in this game. Then you have your bread and butter units known as the Assault class, and it's mainly a class great for close to medium range combat and if you want to try to push through the enemy lines. Then of course there was the Heavy unit, which became the most popular unit, I think, for the demo, because of the fact it had high durability for your standard unit, and it had a ton of firepower. You had your barrage as one of your cards you can use, and then the weapon that you would use had a ton of firepower, shot really fast, and had a long time before you overheated the weapon. And you also had a personal shield, which became very powerful for many people to get out of sticky situations or perhaps push through the enemy line. So it became a tool that many people used, and as the demo went on and on and on, you kind of saw that most people were transitioning to the Heavy class, and it seems like as of now that is the most powerful and most prominent class we will be seeing, unless of course they make some changes down the road. So it's great to see some sort of variation between the classes in terms of the health of the character, or perhaps the weapon of the character, or perhaps the star card of the character. And speaking of star card, another thing that is really going to be popular in this game is the fact there is a star card progression for the units that you're using, as well as the heroes. There's kind of this progression. You have the common, then you have the uncommon, rare, and the epic star card. And essentially, it's kind of like Battlefront, where you have these bonus cards, such as being able to use a barrage, but they get better and better and better as you progress in the game. And now using heroes is a lot more exciting because of the fact they added a progression system to the hero. Before, when you had a hero, you were only set to abilities that were set in stone and you couldn't do much about it. Now you can customize the hero to your preference. As you play the hero more and more and more, you unlock various abilities, and as you become more familiar with the character, you can kind of tailor your experience based on your preference of the character. The one thing I did not enjoy so much, I might be the only one here, it's not a huge gripe, but it is one that I do have, and that is the fact they allow heroes such as Rey lead clone troopers into battle, or perhaps using Boba Fett to lead separatist droids into battle. It just did not seem right because they are not from the same era. I would have rather had the heroes be within their own era, have General Grievous, Darth Maul, and Dooku lead the separatists, or have Mace Windu, Kenobi, and Yoda lead the clones into battle. It's something I can definitely get used to. It's not going to break the game for me, but it is something I wanted to point out to you guys. While we are on the subject of heroes, it was a great experience to use Darth Maul and Boba Fett in battle. The graphics were great, and their abilities felt pretty powerful. Unlike some of the characters in the old Battlefront that felt very lackluster, in here, almost every ability felt like it served an important purpose. The heroes did feel a bit squishy, and they felt like they could be defeated a little too fast, but that might be good because the heroes are very powerful in the game. Unlike the previous game, sometimes they felt a little lackluster. In this game, they felt pretty powerful, at least from the short time I got to use the heroes, and I'm looking forward to the future heroes they release in the game. They've already confirmed Kylo Ren, Captain Phasma, Finn, Yoda, and many others, and I personally hope they add General Grievous, Count Dooku, Anakin Skywalker, and General Kenobi into the game. And I've heard many people hope that they add perhaps Captain Rex or Commander Cody, which would be a fantastic addition to this game. Kind of segueing away from the heroes, the way you finally gain a hero is a much better implementation than the previous game. Before, as I mentioned earlier on, you would kind of have to wander the battlefield, finding one of those power-up tokens and hopefully land across a hero token. In this game, it's a little bit different. It's not like Battlefield where you can just go straight into a vehicle and call it a day, and it's not like the power-up tokens like the Battlefront from 2015. In this game, it's kind of in between. As you participate in battle, you're helping out your squad, you're helping out with the objective, you gain what's known as battle points, and once you accrue enough battle points, you can use certain units. You can use the ships, for example, you can hop into an AAT, you can use a jump trooper, the B2 Super Battle Droid, which are both fantastic characters to use, and then you can use heroes, of course, which require roughly 5,000 battle points to finally use. It's pretty much a first come, first serve system. When you want to redeem your battle points, there only can be so many B2s on the field, only so many jump troopers on the field, only so many people in the AAT, and only so many people can use the heroes at the same time. So at times you may have to wait to use Darth Maul because there only can be one Darth Maul on the battlefield, so as you respawn you might have opportunities to finally grasp that Darth Maul you've been waiting for. I definitely prefer this system over the previous one because previously when there's the tokens on the field, you might not be investing your time into winning the battle, but instead looking for these various tokens on the field. But now with the battle point system, it incentivizes you to be very active in battle, take out a lot of enemies, participate in the objectives, and when the time comes, you will naturally gain points to finally use all those top level bonuses. One thing I was kind of hoping for was they bring the same system regarding vehicles from the Battlefield series. In Battlefield, you just walk up to a tank, walk up to an aircraft, or whatever it might be, and you just get in it and start driving and having fun. The battle point system makes perfect sense for accessing characters like Darth Maul, Rey, Han Solo, Boba Fett, jump troopers, and B2 Super Battle Droids, but for accessing tanks and aircraft, I would have much preferred the whole Battlefield system where you just walk up to the vehicle, hop in, and you go to town. The last thing I want to talk about, it's not specifically gameplay, but more so the longevity of the game, and that is the fact there is going to be free DLC for this game. They're not going to be having a season pass of any sort, so it seems so far, so it's great to see that all the player base will get the new characters, new weapons, new maps, so we're not splitting the player base, which is a great thing in my opinion, but I'm concerned they might add some sort of microtransaction system, kind of like Call of Duty. Now they have supply crates, and they kind of lock a lot of stuff behind the supply crate, so hopefully they're not going to go down that route, but I have a feeling they're going to add some sort of monetization to this console game, which kind of makes me a little bit uneasy. But there you have it. Those are just some initial reactions, initial opinions that I have of this game, but overall the game looks very promising, and I'm looking forward to the beta coming out later this year, and especially the final version of this game. If there's something more you want me to talk about specifically, such as more good things about the game, more bad things about the game, let me know down below, and especially let me know what your thoughts are on this game. I really want to hear what you guys think about it. And as always, like, subscribe so you're not missing a thing, and we will talk again very soon. Peace out.